Welcome to the Great Basin Prescribed Fire and Smoke Transport Briefing for Monday, December 5th. Over the last 7 to 14 days, we've seen precipitation move across mainly the northern two-thirds of the Great Basin, with some areas seeing above normal precipitation in parts of Idaho, northeast Nevada, and into California. Otherwise, well below normal precipitation occurs over the southern half of the region. Over the last 72 hours, we have had some recent snowfall, namely in the Sierra especially, but also across parts of northern Nevada and up into Idaho, Wyoming, and down into the higher terrain of Utah. The snow depth is featured here on the right, and you can see from the current snowpack we are seeing well above normal snowpack across much of the Great Basin. Not quite as much over eastern Utah and up into Wyoming. Some areas are near or even just below normal. The satellite loop from this morning shows a deep area of low pressure moving into the west coast. This will continue to push cloud cover across the region and also rain and snow showers across the Great Basin and keep temperatures near or just below normal. The weather pattern for later today, you can see that moisture streaming across Nevada and Utah with this area of low pressure. So significant fire potential will remain low through this week with, again, cool temperatures and clouds and some precipitation. Transport winds, we will see some breezy winds over parts of southern areas of the Great Basin and into the Sierra and western Nevada ahead of this area of low pressure. Also some moderate winds further north, and mixing heights will remain low to moderate. Relative humidity today will remain high in all areas, but be closer to about 30% in the far south, and dispersion will remain good over southern areas and poor over the rest of the Great Basin. As we move into Tuesday, this area of low pressure moves further east into Nevada, and this will push clouds and showers a little bit further south and east over the southern half of the region. Continued low fire potential is expected. On Tuesday, generally low winds across the region. For transport winds, we could still see some gustier winds up across parts of Wyoming and eastern Idaho, but for the most part, winds will be decreasing. Mixing heights will remain low to moderate. Relative humidity remains unchanged and elevated across the region, with generally poor dispersion. The only exception will be over the far southern areas of Utah and the Arizona Strip, where the transport winds will still be a little bit stronger. As we move into Wednesday, this trough of low pressure swings east. We have another area of low pressure along the west coast. So this will give us a break in weather towards the middle of the week. Winds will be dying down, so we will see generally light flow and also generally low mixing heights. This will give us poor dispersion region-wide, and again, we will continue to see relative humidity above 30 to 50%. Temperatures this week will remain near to just below normal and fairly constant, with highs in the 50s or 60s in the far south, but otherwise seeing highs in the 30s and 40s across much of the rest of the Great Basin. We will see another system moving in later this week, so we will see temperatures drop a few degrees in the far north across Idaho and Wyoming, but again, still generally cool for the time of year. Forecast clearing index for Utah shows generally low clearing indices with those lighter wind flows in much of the valley locations and some higher clearing indices today in the higher terrain of Utah. As we move into Tuesday and Wednesday, generally decreased winds, so we will see those clearing indices decrease and then increase again towards the middle of the week in the far south. Forecast amounts of precipitation for the next 3 days are shown here. You can see much of the precipitation will affect parts of California into the southern half of Nevada and Utah as this area of low pressure moves east, with again less precipitation up north with this system. As we move into Thursday and Friday, the next area of low pressure pushes into the north, so you will see an increase in clouds and this time precipitation over the northern half of the region. Winds will be increasing in some areas, so we will see improved dispersion across parts of Nevada and Idaho towards the end of the week. On Friday, we'll see even more increases in ventilation index as those winds increase as this low moves in, and again precipitation mainly targeting the northern half of the Great Basin. Saturday, this system swings eastward, so we will see lingering showers across Idaho, Wyoming, and parts of Utah, with drier weather moving into the western side of the Great Basin. And then by Sunday, this trough moves well to the east, but we have another developing low off the west coast. So again, we will continue to see this progressive pattern pushing systems through every 3 to 5 days. Precipitation for Friday through Saturday night with this next system later this week, again, shows the main focus being over the northern half of the Great Basin and especially into western areas of the Pacific Northwest and northern California and even into the Sierra. The 7-day total precip with both of these systems, again, many areas will at least see some light shower activity, but the heavier showers will be in the higher terrain of Utah and especially the Sierra. The 8 to 14 day outlook, taking us from December 12th through the 18th, shows the continuation of the cool and wet pattern across the region. That concludes our webcast for today. Check back on Wednesday for the latest updates.